Good day, this 112th day, Meaningful Moments, 365 days. So today I wanted to talk about a meaningful moment. I had already planned what I was going to be able to talk about today. There were a couple of different things. They were definitely on the lighter side, I think. But then when I was preparing just a few moments ago, it was really clear that what I wanted to share was about a subject that most of us find to be pretty heavy, and that is death. But it was very strong for me to speak about this at this moment. So the meaningful moment with regards to death was a dear friend who has relatives in another country that are sick with the COVID right now and has had a near and dear one in that family also pass on. And, we're facing this, all of us in some way. We've probably come to know someone who's had a situation like that over the year. And that can be a very difficult thing. There's a grieving process, and that looks different for everyone. And another friend wrote about that in a really beautiful, poetic way with regards to some art she had done during that time of grief. But what I wanted to share with you was this relationship that we have with death. For most of us, particularly here in the Western civilization, we look at it as something that's, very heavy. A lot of sadness involved with that. We stigmatize the way that should or shouldn't look in terms of someone that is grieving or mourning. And I just would like to offer you a different perspective today, because the meaningful moment came when I realized, after hearing the story of my friend and the passing, what it was connected with me, in me, because immediately, for many of us, our heart goes out and we feel whatever that is of the other person. And if you're an empathic person, or you're someone who cares a lot or is very sensitive, you pick up on that, and even the pain of that. And that's been the story a lot of my life. But one of the things that really has helped me, particularly in this past year, and being able to work with death, is fearlessness. And what I mean by that's an interesting way to counter work with death. But for me, there's been little pieces of me dying all the time. And not only that, but I've been calling it into being. The shedding away that we do every time we learn something new. Every time we learn something new and replace something old. Every time we shift a mindset into something that, we're envisioning ourselves, a version of ourselves that is more expansive. Every time that I have faced the greatest challenges, the greatest heartaches of my own life, as a mother, as a wife, as a partner, as a human being, as a child watching my parents pass. They all look different. But there was something that was similar in each of those experiences of death. And it's through these experiences, what I have perceived in my own life as initiations. The way I took that experience, the way I worked with that experience, brought it in and integrated it into myself to understand it. And not all of them were easy. There was one in particular that was so much resistance. I was deeply entrenched in that grief for years. And it was deep, like a deep cut, right into me. I did not know if I would survive. And I'm sure that there's some of you out there that have had those experiences or will have those experiences. But here's the thing. Years later, I did survive. I did heal. Time does do its own magic and does a little bit of, salve rubbing on those wounds. But whatever it is that your experience is, because it's really different for everyone, and no one can say what someone else's journey is supposed to be or what they should be doing, and certainly I would never profess to that. But again, just offering this perspective that the more I've come into what I call a relationship, perhaps even a right relationship. I mean, not right or wrong, I mean aligned, that kind of right relationship. With that experience at hand, the more I've been willing to accept rather than resist. And again, by accepting, I don't mean that I just deny something or come into a way that I'm told it's supposed to be. What I mean by accept is earnestly within my own heart and being want to learn with that, move with that. I find that it takes the power away of that fear that we have of death and of dying. And, whether it is that you're waking up today and you have a physical ailment or an emotional, wound, or a psychological or mental kind of distraughtness, whatever that is, there is a peace right now that is in that process of death. Because in order to shift back the balance to that alignment, that relationship, we can see the flip side of that would be life, death, life. And they go hand in hand. One is not without the other. And suddenly, when I do that alignment, I find my power. And once you have courted death, and it even can sit by you as an ally to move with you through the experiences, you gain an incredible amount of power and strength and courage. It didn't happen overnight for me, and I'm certainly still on that path and learning so much about it. But it's just familiar enough that I can feel it and also honor it in a way that I'm thankful for it. Because that shedding that I'm doing in all different parts of my life, anything that no longer serves me, even those beautiful lives that have come into my own life and then been shed away, whether it's physically leaving the earth or emotionally leaving my presence or in my life, whatever that might be, I'm able to really honor that time that life was connected with that and respect that over and above my sense of not having that. And it's still with me. And that was a piece that actually helped me to survive. It was knowing that every golden moment in this life is retained. We retain it, we hold it, it becomes part of our power, and it allows us to move on in an expanded version of ourselves. So for whatever it is that you're facing out there today, in this meaningful moment, lots came flooding forth with just that, message from a friend, a few different messages, different heart kind of posts that were out there, different things I've encountered in the last few days, and different pieces that people face, even if it's not a physical death, but some kind of trauma that they've experienced in life, something that they're working with right now, something that has shook them. It's a death. And this new way of working with death for me, and this has been probably for about a decade now, and just gets richer and deeper. I just know that it's laid that fertile ground, that seeds have been planted. I've sown them carefully. I've tended to them. And little by little, they root and take shoot. So this is I believe, more than a mindset. I believe it integrates into the very core of our very being. And that's the piece that I wanted to share with you today and offer that perspective, that courage, the strength, and the other side to death, life. That's a choosing that we get to do. So bringing you so much of that today, each and every day, that you may live well. Aho, my friends.